Hello, my YouTube family. This is the OG Crypto New Jack coming at you with some juicy news. But before I begin, let me say I am not a financial advisor. Anything you see or hear in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Remember to do your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making investment decisions. Okay, we're going to begin looking at the total crypto market cap, and it is at 1.07 trillion. It is down 2.4%. Bitcoin is coming in at number one at 25,421. Ethereum is coming in at number two at 1,666. Our beloved XRP is at number six at 48 cents. Taking a look at crypto bubbles, looks like we got Casper's coming in at the number one top spot with 16.6 up, and looks like Matic is the biggest. Nope, not Aave is the biggest loser at 9.5%. The Fear and Greed Index is in fear, coming in at 41. And moving on from there, we have Caitlin Long. She puts this out. Oh, the irony of Hong Kong pressuring banks to onboard crypto companies. The geopolitical dynamics are stunning. The U.S. had its head in the sand on all this. And here it says that HSBC and Standard Chartered pressed by Hong Kong regulator to take on crypto clients, as opposed to what was going on here in the United States of America, where when we was having all these bank failures and all the bigger banks, he was looking to acquire them. The only way to acquire them, they had to state that they were going to stay away from crypto. In other words, everywhere outside of the US, they're embracing crypto and that technology. And here in the US, we're stifling it. So that's like a huge difference. And to further that point, CoinDesk puts this thing out. Bit2Me, a leading Spanish crypto exchange, has raised 15 million in a funding round to grow its position in Spain and accelerate its expansion across Latin America. Moving on from there, we have Anthony Welfare, great interview with Cindy Young on Ripple's future prospects here in Europe and CBDC. It's really a number of different currencies and CBDCs. They're all going to be coexisting, and that kind of ability to interoperate, to go in and out, is going to be very important. So, like I said earlier, everywhere except in the US, they're embracing this crypto technology and helping it thrive and grow while it stifles over here. And this is why we can't have nice things, folks, here in America. This is why, because of the corruption in the government. You have this put out by Congressman Tom Emmer. Gary Gensler is an incompetent, competent beat. He's actively putting everyday Americans in harm's way and pushing American firms into the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. That is a direct quote from Congressman Tom Emmer, and I 100% agree with that. On a lighter note, we have the chief legal officer from Coinbase, Paul Grohl. He puts down, this might have been my favorite day at Coinbase. Ohio D's and R's get that their constituents want an upgrade to the financial system, and digital assets are the last best hope to achieve that. Thank you for joining us today. So at least one of the 50 states is doing the right thing. Shout out to Ashley Prosper. She writes, I am done reading the HINMAN deposition and have provided everything I thought and would be of interest to the community. 11 hours of testimony amounting to 400 plus pages. If you wish to read it, it's been paid for and you can view it here for free. Good night. Ashley Prosper, you're a complete beast, and the XRP Army thanks you greatly. Just to highlight two things from that, she puts out, they will definitely go after ETH ICO at some point. The evasiveness around the topic is a telltale sign. So here she highlights where he was being questioned on ETH and Ethereum, and Mr. Tenero, one of the lawyers for the SEC, did not want Bill Hinman to answer the question. He kept interjecting, and of course, it wasn't a problem when they ever asked a question about Bitcoin. It says here, she writes, see how the Bitcoin questions are allowed to be asked and answered. My bet is that some other agency is looking into ETH, Consensus, and Joseph Lubin. The statute of limitations for certain financial crimes would be 10 years. That gives prosecutors one more year if they're going to bring a case concerning ETH's ICO. 2024 for Lubin is now looking good. So he had no problems having questions asked and answered of Bitcoin, but he had a major problem of those same questions being asked and answered about Ethereum. So there's something going on here, folks. Something is going on. So Mr. Hubert puts out, fun fact, see NBC will never ask Clayton about the Hinman docs, even once while Clayton is talking about market confusion. And he also puts out, both made the error of putting 10-year dates in their resume that can't possibly match with ethics. Exactly. Okay. Shout out to Oscar Arneson. He always has these funny videos, and I'm just going to play it over here, but shout out to him. He is a very talented individual.
Can I have everyone's attention? Listen, everybody. Listen, everybody. Listen, quiet. We need to decide what he'll think quickly. I want to hear everyone's ideas. Let's just see what sticks. Pamela, what you got?
I don't know. Couldn't you just talk about, like, the duck test?
The what test?
The duck test.
What the fuck is the duck test?
Well, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it must be a duck.
Yes, that's it. I love it.
That is by far the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh yeah? You got a better idea?
Where is Hinman? Shouldn't he at least be here for this?
He's got bigger fish to fry. He's at one of his important business lunches. The billmaster himself, finally making some bills of his own.
So what do you say, you son of a bitch? Do we have a deal?
I'll make sure Ether will be fully cleared, but I'm going to give the kid a call and run everything by him first, just to make sure I don't say anything wrong. Yes, the documents are in secure location. No, it can't be. Mr. Deaton, I thought we took care of you. I mean, it's not what it looks like.
He's not worth it, John. What do you say we get these documents to the XRP community?
Why don't you go ahead without me? Me and Hinman here are gonna have a little talk.
No, don't leave me with him.
Sorry, buddy. Tin Wu says I need to be back by 8 o'clock. Women. Haha. Am I right? Oh no! It's Elizabeth Warren's crypto army.
This is, I'm telling you, the guy is extremely talented. Okay, moving on. We have David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple. He put this thing out. I'm going to tell you a completely made up hypothetical story. Any resemblance to real exchanges, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Imagine an exchange doesn't list XRP despite it obviously being in their business interest. They asked Ripple for millions of dollars to list it, and we refuse. Months pass, we're at a standstill. They refuse to list. We refuse to pay. They concede they list if we didn't exist. To the outside world, the refusal to list appears inexplicable. Finally, Ripple works out a deal where we give the exchange money and they list XRP. XRP immediately becomes 20% of the exchange's revenue. We are pissed, but what else we have done? Had we not existed, the exchange would have listed months ago. We paid money to not let our existence hurt the ecosystem. Then a litigation adversary selectively uses some of these facts to imply we were using money to unfairly boost XRP adoption or liquidity. If that actually happened to you, would you be pissed off? I think I would be. And Miracle Markets, he says, wow, that crazy story. On a completely unrelated note, wink, wink, I hope no XRP holder ever goes back to Coinbase. Okay, moving on. Matt Walsh puts this thing out. This Prometheum storyline has got to be the strangest thing I have seen in a while in this industry. Has anyone actually looked into this? Beyond bizarre. And before I continue, this is what I put out in my previous video. The CEO, Kaplan, he was just talking how the rules of the road are clear. And a couple of weeks ago, when he was one of the gentlemen that were on the panel in Washington being asked if regulations were needed, everyone said yes except him. He was the only one to say no. And then in this more recent hearing, he's just going on how the SEC is the best thing since sliced bread and the rules are clear and regulations are just fine. And I stated in my previous video that anybody who talks like that, they kind of talk like Vitalik, they kind of talk like Joseph Lubin, and that's because they're all connected, and it doesn't pass a smell test. There's something going on with this guy. I said it in my previous video, and I say it even more emphatically now. That guy is definitely involved, and I'm gonna go on and show you the connections thanks to the Twitter sleuths that have been reporting on this since the lawsuit was dropped. But to continue on with Matt Walsh, last month in the midst of the SEC bringing cases on Coinbase and Gemini and giving the stiff arm to Robinhood and others, Prometheum gets approval for the first of its kind special purpose broker-dealer for digital asset securities. Then Prometheum's CEO somehow gets a seat in front of Congress yesterday and starts reading off pre-written notes, clearly coordinating narratives with Democratic members of Congress or the SEC. As RSH 273 points out, this ATS absolutely will not work unless the projects first register the tokens with the SEC. There are currently no tokens registered with SEC because the current regime is not viable for public blockchain networks. U.S. Representative Mike Flood hit the nail on the head on why Prometheum claims are utter nonsense. And this is the video that I played from my previous video. You guys can look it up. Alexander Grieve put it out. And there's just something that's not right with this Prometheum. Here you have Johnny Dayton. He put out, when a community of Twitter and internet sleuths join together to expose a fraud, it's called decentralized justice. And J.W. Verrett puts a plot thickens. I got a tip that this guy, Kaplan's lobbyist, is a Democrat lobbyist and member of the DNC, and that diligence on Kaplan's firm goes to a law school. What's up with that? Shout out to Cowboy Crypto. He put out Prometheum partnered with Anchorage Digital, who happens to have the first ever federal crypto banking charter in March of 2021, right after the Ripple Garlinghouse Larson lawsuit. Guess who's invested in Anchorage Digital? Apollo. Jay Clayton happened to take the lead independent director role the month before Anchorage partnered with Prometheum, and only 2 months after filing the lawsuit. Key Anchorage investors: A16Z, Apollo, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Kraken, PayPal. You guys are beginning to see here the connections. Continuing with Crypto Cowboy, he writes, Capscott's investor, Fen Bushi Capital, was founded by head of Wanxiang Blockchain, Xiao Feng. Vitalik is their chief scientist. Wanxiang invested in Prometheum and Nervous Network. Prometheum is a SEC and FINRA regulated full-service market ecosystem for blockchain securities. So you guys are seeing the connections here. Jake Travinsky, his take. I'm not exactly sure what the Prometheum strategy was, but it seems to be backfiring in a glorious fashion. And down in the bottom, Adam Calkin writes, they didn't inspect my weaponized Adderall deep dive on them, that's for sure. Exactly. And then we got some other takes from Cameron Winklevoss. He writes, laugh my ass off. The SEC.gov greenlit a vaporware BD/ATS to pretend there's a happy path to becoming a compliant crypto exchange. You just can't make this stuff up. Moving on from there, his brother Tyler Winklevoss writes, the moral of the story, if you have a fake business, you will get approved by the SEC. If you have a real business, you will get sued by the SEC. I mean, we're living in an upside down world. And shout out to Crypto Aries, she puts this thing out. It's very clear what Gensler is up to. Prometheum CEO Aaron Kaplan, the first company approved by SEC and FINRA, has a special purpose broker-dealer. And this is what's coming. It's not a matter of if, but when. Elena Tourette, there's a lot of videos that are out on YouTube and on Twitter. You can look them out. This guy's all over talking about how good the SEC is and regulations and all that, and basically shitting on everybody else, and mainly Ripple and XRP. There's definitely something going on. The corruption runs deep, and you know, thankfully for the Twitter sleuths, we're going to get to the bottom of this. But I'm going to leave it there, folks. That's going to do it for today's video. If you found this video to be helpful, would you please smash the like and subscribe? I would really appreciate it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Thank you much in advance. And in the words of Snoop Dogg, keep your mind on your money and your money on your mind. Peace out, fam.